Welcome to At Your Service, the service management podcast on the CRM Audio Network, with your hosts, Business Solutions MVPs, Sarah Jelinek, Scott LaFonte, and Shawn Tabor. Resco is a leading provider of mobile solutions for Dynamics 365. Resco Mobile CRM is an invaluable tool for the field service engineer working in field service for Dynamics 365. Other solutions from Resco include Route Planner, which combines geographic and calendar data, even taking into account variables such as traffic and weather, to ensure that your field agents plan the optimal route possible to their work sites. Resco also offers inspections, which allows you to create, assign, complete, and evaluate field inspections with ease. Inspections enables you to shape every step of your inspection process. For more information on these solutions, or to request a demo for any of their offerings, visit www.resco.net. We thank Resco for sponsoring this episode of At Your Service. Welcome to another episode of At Your Service. Once again, I am Shawn Tabor, and I'm here today with Mr. Scott LaFonte. How's it going, Scott?
Not too bad, Shawn. How about yourself?
I'm all right, but we're not as good as the Dynamics 365 diva herself. She is currently on assignment. She is identifying the unified interface of some fine lobster to her dinner table in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. So we wish her all the best in that beautiful city. Home of the soon-to-be AL East champions. And who knows, maybe World Series champs if we're lucky. So, anyways, I digress. So it's been a crazy week, or a crazy couple weeks since we've been on last. And what I thought we could talk about today is moving to the unified interface, because we have in the October release, it's going to become a little more important than it possibly is right now, right? And, there's been a lot of blog posts, a lot of information out there about unified interface, what you need to look for, that sort of thing. And in the community, folks like Jukka, Niiranen, and I know I'm probably saying this wrong, and I apologize, and Auntie, out there have been writing some really great stuff on unified interface and how it impacts your implementation, especially on project service, automation, and field service. So we're going to put in the show notes links to a couple blog articles that I took a look at, namely one from Jukka back from July, and it's a great blog post about unified interface form design. And it really goes over some of the big hitter functions and what you need to be looking at when you're taking into account unified interface in your design. And I wanted to also talk about some misconceptions that I personally had. So remember back in the day, before unified interface was a big thing, right? We had the interactive experience forms.
Yes, I remember those quite well.
So in moving to unified interface, something that I did not grasp right away was with the new unified interface, any form could be in the unified interface. Right?
Yeah, and that's a great thing, because I think, just like you said, I always thought before I got into all the unified interface stuff that it's like, oh, it has to be these interactive ones.
Right. Same. So that's something important to understand, that while you're looking to implement unified interface or cut over to unified interface, really what we're looking at is the whole question of apps. Do you use one of the existing Dynamics 365 created apps like CRM Hub or the Field Service Hub or the Project Service Hub? Or do you just dive in and create your own? Now, creating your own has a lot of benefits. You can really fine tune and tailor exactly what you want in that app. From my experience, I would start with one of the Dynamics created hubs or apps, mainly just to get a feel for how that's designed, what elements they're incorporating into it, especially if you're not really familiar and have a lot of experience with unified interface. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly how I started diving into it in my own environment. One, just to, I think, to your point, Shawn, get a feel for how they set it up, what's all involved, right? It's not, if you haven't seen it, you haven't played around with it, I mean, it's very powerful and very flexible, especially when you talk about adding security roles to different apps. But if you're not careful and you leave off a couple things that might have been in the predefined app, you may run into some problems. So I think it's definitely easier to start out in one of those predefined and really just get comfortable with how to build it, what's all involved, and how everything interacts.
And then from there, you could always, expand. You could pull things out of that app. You could, or you can start to build your own app. And with the whole app concept, if you haven't had much experience in the app designer, I strongly encourage everyone to jump in there and play around with it. Very, very powerful stuff. I like it especially because it really does let you tailor that experience either by role, by job function, and you could really make it exactly what you want it to be. If you only want to see certain entities, and within those entities only see certain views, that's all possible now, and has been for a little bit. But with the app designer, that's really the power behind that. Something else that I've seen in creating my own unified experience, unified interface apps. Some little unique issues that I haven't quite gotten resolved yet, but just I like to put it out there so people, if you're running into similar issues or if you're just running into issues with unified interface, you're not alone. I mean, we're MVPs, but it happens to us too. So things like when you're creating an app and you have an entity that has a business process flow on it. I've seen where in the Microsoft CRM Hub, the process flows there and it works just as expected. But in my specific app, it doesn't. It doesn't display. It doesn't. When I hit the dock, I can see the stages. I can change the process through the navigation, but yet can't see the ribbon, the process flow ribbon. So, those things that's just trial and tribulation, understanding what you did, looking at your settings, making sure you have the proper relationships enabled, making sure you have the entities for the business processes enabled within the sitemap, things like that. The other thing is understanding, and Jukka makes a very good point of this on his blog, understanding the devices that will be leveraging unified interface. If you have a smaller device and you have a lot of attributes on the header, for example, you're going to run into space limitations. You may not see all the attributes on that device, right? In the header or in the footer. So take into account those things like that. What are some of the things based on what we're seeing is coming in October for field service or for project service in the unified interface have you seen or are looking at that give you a little pause or say, okay, I got to give little extra attention to this because of what's coming?
Yeah, I think a lot around, any special business rules, like plugins, business rules that you have. Those seem to based on experience, maybe a little bit more special attention, especially if you have things on, specific forms. You want to make sure that those are all double checked. I think the big thing too is just making, looking at the functionality. So, I've had the fortunate pleasure of getting a preview of field service and project service unified interface. And there are some significant changes to, let's just say, the project area. And they're good changes, in my opinion. But if you're already in an implementation that maybe isn't live yet or is going live shortly, and you've been showing certain version of these apps, you need to plan for that. And I think that's the big thing is it is change. And so for me, it's just more of understanding what those little nuances are. For example, in project service, where the Gantt chart for the tasks are changing, let's just say. So those are big things that, while are great from a performance perspective. Some liked it, some didn't. But it's just one of those things that you need to really understand what are some of those changes to the UI and how it may impact, your implementations or your customers, and especially the perception. I think that's a lot of it, right? Is managing the perception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to that, especially if you have an existing implementation that's been in flight for a while, and they're used to selecting the modules from the buttons in the sitemap, having a clear transition plan, helping them understand that you can still get to those quote unquote buttons from the sitemap area, and have a similar kind of navigation, but more condensed and streamlined, right? And the way that the tabs are changing in the October release, making sure that they understand that, and I think that transition is the biggest key, because there will be people who have gotten used to the standard web UI. Not to say that it's better than unified interface, because I personally don't think it is, but when you're comfortable with something, when you're used to something, it's difficult to say flip a switch and have something different, right?
I think I agree, and I think one of the biggest things that I really like is how they've built the forms and how you now click on the different sections, whether it's to get to the details or the related entities. Mm-hmm. One, from a performance perspective, right? We're used to, and we're probably all guilty of it. Hey, let's get an account form that basically shows them, everything they need to see for the most part on one page. And, if you're smart, that's fine. It's great. You collapse them and no big deal. But it is sometimes painful to keep scrolling and scrolling. Oh, I missed one. Or you can click up by the record and you can go navigate. I personally like the fact that now everything is kind of right there for me. I don't have to scroll all over the place. I click on the menu option I want. If I want to get to the related, entities, it's real simple for me now. I don't have to click on the down caret. I really enjoy it. I think they did a really nice job on the unified interface.
Agreed.
Shawn, let's talk about some things that we've seen, I think, in some of our implementations that we start doing when we talk about entities and on the forms, and we see the lovely jigsaw piece. And for those that aren't familiar, it basically looks like a jigsaw puzzle piece that's next to the entity image, so to speak.
Which I do prefer that over the gear from the web UI.
Yes.
But yeah, so that one perplexed me for a while. There's in the unified interface, there's a new type of icon, but I actually had this issue for one of our implementations and did some research and found a great blog article from Megan Walker. So shout out to Megan, who talks all about that. And what she found was those icons, especially if you create custom icon or custom toolbar areas, navigation. These areas need to have web resources added to them and created in a very specific way. So the icons for the area sitemap have a very specific height and width requirement, which she has in her blog. And I mean, she gets into very specifics, but so if you follow what she says in her blog, it'll work. It's really, you're converting an image that you already have into the proper format. Once you do that, then and you upload it, it will render correctly. But it's not really well apparent. Okay, so with the icons in the select new icons area, there's now a new tab that we didn't have before. So there's a tab called Web Client, and there's a tab called Unified Interface. You got to go into the Unified Interface, and then we'll put a link to the blog post for Megan, and just follow her instructions, and it'll take care of it for you. So there's also a tip of the day that we'll reference in the show notes that also talks about another area within the Unified Interface sitemap that has had a previous issue with icons. So it's a tricky little bugger there at those icons, but it can be resolved.
Yeah, and it did drive me nuts for a while, and it was glad to come across this blog post by Megan, because it really made me laugh. How these little pesky things that you don't even think about when we go to a new interface, a new UI, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you get it just the way you want, right? You get the nice icons for your custom entities and the traditional web UI, and then all of a sudden you go to Unified Interface. What happened? Where'd they go? Well, they're there. You just can't use them the way they are. So it's those are some things, in my opinion. Again, it's not critical for a go live or an implementation, but for some of those things like a fit and finish where you really want to polish the implementation, those are things you want to look at before go live to say, okay, is everything that I've done in the past, is it looking and behaving and acting the way it should and the way it has before migrating to the new Unified Interface?
Yep.
So those are definitely some big things. I mean, my opinion is, and I think Shilpa did a great job when she was on our on the CRM audio podcast at BizApp Summit, and I've spoken to her in the recent past. Is like, hey, the sooner you can get to Unified Interface, the better.
Yep, absolutely.
And I do see that as an extremely valid and true statement. Because that is the wave, right? That is the wave of the future. This is the way they're going. Get used to it now. Get your customers used to it now. It's just a lot easier even if you start introducing it in a non-production environment to customers, just so they can get the feel for it, right? And I know right now it's not, if you have project service and you have field service, customers typically don't have access to it unless they got the preview, and we're lucky to do that. But this will give them a good test between, hey, how is Unified Interface so much better than the traditional web UI? Right.
And it is something, as we gear up to October's release, something you really need to start planning for and taking a look at now. And we'd love to hear your experiences with Unified Interface as you're moving through with your various implementations. And reach out to us at voice@crm.audio. We'd love to get your experiences and get your thoughts on it, plus any questions you might have. And hopefully, I'm hoping to get both Megan and Auntie. I know I'm saying it wrong, and I apologize. I know you're listening. I'm sorry. I'll get it right once I talk to you. So
he's been writing some really great updates on Partner Connect for PSA. I reach out to him quite often, and vice versa on project stuff, and he'll reach out to me on field service stuff. So he's really, really bright guy in the project service area. I'm sure other areas as well, but that's where I interact with him. It would be great to have him on because he's just been instrumental, I think, even with the newest and latest and greatest version of project service. He's been very vocal in testing things out, and so he's got a lot of input.
Him and Megan are quite the superstars in terms of not only unified interface but project service and field service. So I love reading what they have to offer. So, well, with that, I think we're gonna wrap. We're gonna send it back over to Agnes. Agnes is back. She took a episode off last episode, but she's back and going to give us a little bit of insight to the partner benefits with Resco. So it's some good stuff, and take it away, Agnes.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast with Resco. My name is Agnes and I'm the Director of Marketing here. And today I'm just going to go a bit over the key partner advantages that we have. So as a partner, there are 2 partner programs. We have an advisor partner program and a professional partner program. And you can learn more about these programs by visiting our website, resco.net, in the partner tab. And of course, why become a partner? Well, we have the most advanced mobile CRM solution. It's proven by 2,000 satisfied corporate customers that are recognizing Resco Mobile CRM as a reliable, secure, and stable platform with fully offline functionality, vast customization possibilities, and many more features that make the product people love to use. Furthermore, it can be tailored to any industry, size of a company, or any use case scenario thanks to its high configurability. When it comes to technical and sales support, no worries. If you need any help with your first Resco deal, we have a dedicated team here that's ready to support you. And as a Resco partner, you gain access to our experts, more than just a first-line support. This goes far more in depth, actually, within our company. Onboarding and training, well, we make it our absolute priority to build your understanding of the Resco Mobile CRM platform, but the actual Resco Cloud platform as a whole, so you can close deals quickly and efficiently. And we even offer monthly training webinars that are quarterly. We have partner briefing calls and a dedicated partner resource site. And of course, we have a powerful software. With 4 major updates each year, Resco partners have the newest features and functionalities, with minor updates in between for all major platforms such as iOS, Android, Windows, and a plethora of devices, of course. But we also take into consideration ad hoc suggestions that we have from our partners and customers. So, for example, if there's a feature or type of functionality that's highly sought after, it can really make a deal happen, and you guys really, really are heavy for it, being pushed forward. We definitely make some wiggle room in our Resco roadmap, and we make sure that we can fit some things in ad hoc. Also, what we have for our partners, which is quite a new thing, but it's been quite a help, and it's been gaining some pretty good positive feedback, is our partner marketplace. So partners have built their vertical solutions based on Resco Cloud's technology, and they've made their own app, for example, that's built on our technology, and they'd like to have it promoted and make sure that we don't just have a listing of all our partners on our website, but we also have a listing of, hey, if you need a partner to work with and you're in, let's say, for example, Brazil, and you have an industry that you're particular in and you need someone to help you out with manufacturing, you can actually check out the partner and see if they have a specific vertical solution built for this industry. So this is very helpful. You'll find text there, short description. You'll find links to go directly to the partner's website. You'll see a few screenshots as well. And this way, it's much more interactive for you guys. And on top of that, we also provide some monthly newsletters that have featured spots for our partners regarding case studies pertaining to their vertical solutions, and of course, how it is to work with Resco, so that you get an overall feel into how it is being a partner with Resco. So if you'd like any more information, you're more than welcome to reach out to myself at communications@resco.net, or you can simply visit our website, resco.net, click under the Partners tab, and become a partner. Hope to see you soon. Cheers.
On behalf of myself, Shawn Tabor, my co-host Scott LaFonte, and the Dynamics 365 diva Sarah Jelinek, we thank you for listening and subscribing to the podcast. You can reach us at voice@crm.audio. On Twitter, you can follow us, CRM Hobbit for me, for Scott, at FLD Service_Guru, and of course, at Dyne365 Diva for Sarah. For more information and content about what we spoke about on this episode and others, visit our blog at atyourservicepod.com. This has been At Your Service on the CRM Audio Network, a production of Dynamic Podcasts, LLC.